Go. You already reported it's okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Give it a few minutes.
Oh, my friend. Welcome, friend. Wait for a moment.
We'll give it a couple minutes.
Okay.
Hey, Liam.
Top of the afternoon to you both. How are you?
Hey, pretty good. This is Sarah.
Hi, Liam. Nice to meet
Hello.
you.
Wonderful to meet you, Sarah. In a
Yeah.
similar view to me in the bridge, eh?
Yeah. Well, it's the only place like she's shorter than I am. I'm sitting down pretty low, so we're trying to get the same height. That was a whole debacle.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, awesome.
Yeah. Oh no.
Welcome, friend.
Yeah.
Look like everyone's here.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. I guess his is a little frozen there. That's all right.
Costa Rica internet.
For those of you that don't know me, Scott Kidd, I've been a captain for the last 20+ years. This is Sarah. She and I worked together for the last year or so, more than a year.
A little more than a year.
And like herself, have asked me and a lot of other people about what should you do, how should they get started in investing and stuff. But again, I'm not a financial advisor or anything, but I can only tell you what I've done and things I would recommend you do getting started is definitely always put a time and a purpose on your money. Definitely make sure that you do that first. I know you have a retirement and you have some savings. Definitely what you want to start out to do is make sure you always have your emergency fund squared away first. And that by that means like if you go shore based, what do you how much is that going to cost you for 6 months? Like your housing, your car, your insurance, your food, everything else, whatever else you're going to spend money on that costs you to live, and then have at least 6 months of that and then go forward. And then you've already started your retirement. The next things you could do, what are you looking for in the future, like in the next year, 2 years, 5 years?
Well, I think just because I've started out just now saving, when I started this position about a year ago, so I've built up some good savings now, and I have started putting some of that money into a retirement account. So I'm building that up right now, and I would say I do have about 6 months saved, which is why I'm now trying to figure out where to put my money elsewhere, besides having that savings. So I'd say in the next year, my priorities are, one, I do want to travel a little bit, so I want to have some money in maybe a separate account where I can activate that for my travels or have that set aside just specifically for traveling. And then I do want to buy a house. I wouldn't say in the next year, but maybe in the next 3 years, I'd say purchasing real estate is one of my goals. And other than that, I just kind of want to use whatever money I have to invest and try to help that grow over time. Because I am 25, so now that I have my retirement set up, I think I can be a little bit more aggressive with investing. I do have some time, and not too many assets at the moment or expenses that I have to put my income into at the moment.
Yeah, well, what I would suggest is any of those things, put a little bit aside in each one, like you're already doing with your retirement and your savings. And if it's like fund money, make it like a percent of your income, like 10%. So that you have that at the end of the year when you have time to do your vacation and stuff. And if you're looking at real estate, definitely just keep putting away as much as you can. There's so many ways to do it. I would suggest that you do what a lot of people do when they're first getting started, is they do like, they call it a house hack, where you buy the house and you rent the rooms out to your friends or people you know, or rent it long term. That way you're probably not gonna be living there because you're gonna be on the boat.
Yeah,
So let them cover most of the expenses. If you want to keep your room, just keep it locked to where when you come back, you still got a place to put all your stuff. And if you had any idea where you would like to buy your property or what you like to get started.
yeah, I mean, I'm from California, so hopefully I would want to buy property back in California, which I know can be on the more expensive side. I also do, as a lot of people my age do, is the FHA loan. So I know, as you said, the house hack, having your room separate and then also having roommates as well. But is it not true that you have to live on the property for the first year if you have an FHA loan?
Yes, you do. But if you have roommates, that you're technically living there. Because your room is there and your stuff is there, and you're coming back,
Yeah.
you're probably not there full time. It's a little bit of a gray area, but
Yeah.
I see a lot of people do it. And you put less down, or what you can do is you can get a partner, where that they live there and both of you sign on it.
Okay.
Get a co-signer or something too. There's a lot of different ways to get started, but just remember, like, the first house probably not going to be your forever home.
Yeah.
So don't get too bogged down in the details. Just make sure that you can cover the mortgage, make sure you can cover the rent, it's gonna cover the mortgage and all those other things, because that way you're not going into pocket. And then once you get the first one, then you get an idea of where you want to be and what you want to do with that. Because as it builds up, then you can use that for leverage to buy other properties, commercial buildings or anything else, or start a business or what have you. So in like 5 years, where would you want to have multiple houses, or would you want to have move into other things?
I probably want to start building a portfolio of investment properties, maybe some multifamily into the future, but at the moment, probably single family or apartment properties. I'm not sure. My first house, me and my sister have spoken about going in on a property together in California, so that would be great. Having
Okay.
her be contributing to that mortgage payment as well, and then I could also put more down on my down payment, so that would be great. But yeah, she would probably live on the property and
Well, that's
help manage
great.
it, and
Ye-
then
Yeah, because then you have somebody that they call boots on the ground, somebody that's actually got a vested interest in being there. You don't really want, necessarily, you want to be careful who you partner with if you're buying any property or getting into any business or any kind of partnership, because if you do enter into some type of contract, it's going to be, you're going to be stuck with that for the duration of the contract. And if you don't necessarily get along with them, or it could be pretty messy.
Yeah.
And I would suggest also, even if as you get further into it, you and your sister could look at elsewhere outside of California once you get the first property. Because there's so many different ways to do it, and you could probably buy more properties a lot easier and a lot faster once you have that equity built up. After a year, you can get a home equity line and use it to buy more properties. Is there anything specific that you would be looking to figure out in the next, like, how can I help you get to that step?
I think so. I've looked just on Zillow and kind of looking at house prices right now and how much I would have to put down if I were to purchase a house. So I guess my question is, other than say I can afford it, what other attributes about the property would I be looking for if I wanted to use it as an investment?
Well, definitely, you don't want your first home to be a big project where you have to do a huge amount of work. I wouldn't suggest doing that, especially if you're not going to be there, and your sister will probably be managing it alone. So then it might be a little bit difficult for the two of you guys to to manage that because she's gonna need your input and you may not be able to see what she sees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe get something that's a little further along, or maybe just needs some cleanup or something. That way you get your feet wet, you kind of get in there, because I've seen, and I've done it myself where I got in over my head. We bought into properties that needed a huge amount of work. And we thought it wasn't gonna be as bad as it was, but it was way worse than we ever
Yeah.
thought. So I wouldn't suggest doing that, just because it might turn you off from buying more. And I wouldn't suggest it. I mean, you can do it, but also make sure that whatever you're buying it, make sure you have the reserves like you're doing with your own personal life.
Yeah.
3 to 6 months to cover all of it in case, maybe your sister moves out and goes to another place, or both of you decide to do something else. So you can cover all that and then, keep building from there. But, it's very forgiving because the longer you hold it, the more equity you're going to build. And California has a good amount of appreciation. Is there any idea where you'd be looking?
Yeah, so either in Southern California towards the San Diego area, or Central Coast California, or like Morro Bay and San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
So we're looking at smaller properties in the 500 to 700 dollar range. Which doesn't give you a whole lot in California, but
Shoebox, maybe.
but depending on where, there are some good properties that I've seen, and she has also sent me that I think would be good first homes for us, and
Well,
possibly.
one thing that would definitely help you is maybe start reaching out to people local in the area, realtors, contractors, mortgage brokers in California, because they'll be able to maybe give you an inside track on stuff that's going on. Maybe if your sister is there, you can go to some of the local meetups and stuff and see what's going on in the area. Definitely you want to invest or buy in an area where people are moving to and there's jobs around, because if that's not happening, then the area is probably going to go down.
What are you seeing in like house prices as of now? Is it a good time to buy, or would you say hold off for a little bit?
Well, I'm a bit biased. I think it's always a great time to buy. If you find a good deal, it's always a great time to buy, because there's that saying, best time to buy is either 20 years ago or now.
Yeah.
Because, so think about everything you bought 20 years ago when you were obviously
Mhm.
less than 20.
That's about 5 years
Six,
old.
you could
I don't know,
have
maybe I
done
was
it, you
coming
could
up
have
on
done it
like
then.
12.
You could have done it then, and we wouldn't be having this
No,
conversation.
wouldn't be asking for advice. If only I'd known.
Yeah, well, you were
If I could
6,
go
but
back.
I'm not gonna let you off the hook on that one. Because you should have.
Why didn't I buy real estate when I was in the womb?
You,
I'm already
you
behind.
should have known better. But anyway, yeah, so, I mean, you're looking in Southern California, it's a high price point.
Right.
Make sure you cover taxes, insurance, all those things that that are necessary for properties and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So say, as you said, maybe looking in different areas. So just put California to the side for now, maybe a more affordable area. For example, my sister, she bought her house in North Carolina, which is definitely more affordable. What would you say in terms of managing those properties? Is it good to have someone you know, or hire a property manager? Or, because in a lot of other places, I don't, you might
Well,
not have those
you
connections.
definitely want to go and visit the area and meet with people in the area. Find people you're aligned interest with, you want, since you're looking for a single family home, find somebody that is an expert in that area, that knows what the rents will be, knows what, for instance, the mortgages are gonna be, knows what, what the vacancy rates are, knows what companies are moving in, if there's with the crime rate and everything else. Make sure and do your own due diligence, they can, because the realtor can tell you a lot of different things, but I suggest you go to that area and look. But if it just depends on what your overall business plan is. Like if you're going to buy more in the area and you're looking for, maybe you want to get, X amount of cash flow every month from those, then you're probably going to want to go in an area like in the Midwest somewhere where cash flow is really good. The appreciation is not necessarily really high. Like we look at a lot of properties in Ohio, and the cash flow is really great. The appreciation is not high like in Florida where I live, or California. So you can really you just have to explore, and I'd suggest you go there. Or if you do know somebody in the area, use leverage their contacts to get in there and kind of figure out. North Carolina, since your sister already has a foothold in there, she probably knows a few people, realtors and everything. Use those contacts, explore, because North Carolina is a great state to invest in. We have apartments in North Carolina, in Charlotte. But glad to help with any of that stuff. If you're looking for like mortgage brokers and stuff like that, and different states to pair, Texas is pretty good. I know a lot of people in California invest in Arizona, but I think Arizona also is having some high growth areas as well. But some parts of Texas you can still buy houses. For instance, like what we track a lot of stuff is like where all the tech companies or corporate headquarters are moving, because there's going to be a lot of jobs there. There's going to be a lot of things that that ancillary businesses that'll be started from that. Do you have any other ideas? Let's say, for instance, just pick an area and we'll kind of run through it.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Arizona, which I lived in Arizona for a couple of years when I was going to school, and that's decently close to California. So I do know the Tucson area is kind of getting a little bit more traction lately, so that could be a good spot to kind of look at some properties.
Yeah, there are a lot of people moving to that area. Like for instance, maybe take a look at what companies are moving there. There's apps like U-Haul and stuff. They'll tell you which the biggest states are that one-way moving trucks are going. Tucson, you have student population. So was it University of Arizona?
University of Arizona.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, so college towns, I know, you get that student housing, and a lot of times owners will bump up the rental rates, in a close vicinity to the university, which is nice because they know that students need to pay. So, yeah, my sister, the Central Coast is why she wanted to look there, because the University of San Luis Obispo was right.
Well, an important thing that a friend of mine told me, is he does a lot with student housing, is make sure if you are renting a single family home, if you're renting the rooms, make sure that you get the parents to co-sign.
Right.
Because if they don't pay, then the parents are on the hook for the rent. They destroy the place, and make sure they have parents that will.
I'm sure they find a lot of.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, but getting back to your overall plan, like what do you want to? Do you want to have like a certain amount of income coming in from these properties in like 10 years, or do you want to sell it all off and go travel the world, or what's the plan?
I'd say by 10 years I would want to have some passive income coming from these properties, and maybe hold on to those. I think in this next 10 years I kind of am prioritizing more travel, and then by that stage maybe I'll have the opportunity to settle down a little bit more and be able to manage those properties a little bit more myself. So right now I wouldn't say investing in an investment property in the next couple of years is my top priority, whereas traveling would be. So like my more personal finances is what I'm kind of concentrating on right now. Such as
what I would suggest, maybe sit down with your sister and you guys figure out, okay, house is going to cost X, we're going to need to put down X, why. And then every month you say, okay, we're gonna do it within 12 months or whatever. Divide that by 12, we need to put away this amount,
Mhm.
and then start reaching out to all the brokers and all the people in that area. So that way you're both putting aside enough money, and then you can start having those conversations with all those different people that you need. You know, you're gonna
Yeah.
need insurance, you're gonna need everything, and then do more research on the area. Just you know, there's a lot of different things like apartments.com, rentometer, things like that, where you can track the rents.
Right.
So you get an idea what the rents are. So, because like there might be, if you buy it over a certain amount, it may not make sense for you, because you always want to be able to, if you're moving on, you want to be able to put a renter in there so that
Mhm.
that'll cover it, and then you're in the next one, you do the same thing. You want to set it up so that you can just repeat the next one and the next one and the next one.
Yeah,
And you'll probably do it a lot faster than you think once you get the first
okay, yeah. I know, my sister is trying to move back to California actually very soon in the
Okay.
next couple of months, so. After she finds a short-term spot, she might be looking into buying a house, which, that might happen by next year or so.
And then what's also popular in California is the ADUs in the backyard. And they're building on and adding, so you may look into stuff like that to where you already have a renter in the back, or one of you lives in the back and then they rent a big house, and
Yeah.
you probably get more one way that way, you know.
And what do you think about using your property for things like Airbnb or Vrbo?
Those are a good thing. Just make sure that I personally don't do it because I don't want another job. Because it is another it is
Yeah.
another job. You're in a hospitality thing. You're not necessarily a long-term renter. You just have to have that one person for the year or 2 years or what have you. But that you'll need a property manager that's specific to that, like
Right.
Airbnb. And it has to be allowed in that neighborhood and that area. Some homeowners associations don't allow you to rent, but once or twice a year for 6 months. So,
Yeah,
and then you have to do all the other management things that come with it. So, definitely make sure that you do your research on that end.
right.
It's great. I have friends that actually have funds that do short-term rentals, and they do really well. I personally haven't done it because I like the multifamily model, and it's more management intensive and different business model. You can do it. You know,
Is there
if you're
technically more cash flow?
Yeah, there
through-
can be a lot
Mhm.
more, and if your sister is willing to be the one doing that, I would say you could go for it if it's in the right area. But just make sure when you buy the place that the long-term renter will be able to cover that, because with Airbnb, I've seen it happen where, especially
Yeah.
like in Fort Lauderdale, where all of a sudden they got very saturated, and then certain little cities, they're starting to crack down on Airbnb.
Yeah,
And it's
that
not
happened in
as,
my hometown.
Yeah.
Of Manhattan Beach, yeah, a lot of people came to the area and they were just causing havoc around, so
they shut it down.
long-term owners, yeah, complained to the city, and so there are no more Airbnbs allowed.
Oh,
Manhattan.
no short-term rentals
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, so I do understand that, and then I think, as you said, the ADU, maybe if my sister lived on the property in
Yeah.
a separate unit.
Yeah,
And was able to manage, clean it,
Yeah.
do everything you needed to do to
yeah.
keep the Airbnb running. that
And you
could be
start with
helpful, too.
one and then you get another one. And
Mhm.
then, if you're in an area close to the beach or close to the school, because like,
Yeah,
for instance, like the
For
parents
traveling.
want to come and see the kids for a week at
Yeah.
school or what have you. Those are always a good thing.
and I find people are using Airbnb more than getting hotels now. It seems to be
Especially
more of a popular
Especially families.
route,
especially if you have like more than 4 people.
Mhm.
I know 4 or more people, because then you want to be able to park outside.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that me and her have also discussed, is doing Airbnb or VRBO.
Yeah, just make sure that you don't, you can cover it, whether it's Airbnb or.
Yeah.
See, that goes pretty wrong. Even you can also do midterm rentals where there's a hospital around, nurses, doctors, pilots, or even, yacht crew as well, but there's not as many there.
Is there a different type of insurance you need to get when you own a property with short-term rentals?
You'd have to have renter's insurance, and you definitely have to make sure
Okay.
your insurance is aware of what you're doing, because you want to make sure you're covered. 'Cause if you're
Yeah,
not
because
covered,
would it be considered a business or would it be considered,
I'm not really sure. Have to actually probably check with the insurance company. 'Cause I know we pay a different insurance for renters insurance, and to have renters be able to rent it out and everything. And then what you can do also is price that in like an added amount for insurance, but you don't, that'd be your daily rate or
Yeah.
what have you. And then the cleaning rate and everything else, but they have all these apps and stuff that you can use to manage all that stuff. And even these chat bots, I know they have, where you can make a manual for the house, and then the chat bot goes through the whole thing, and then it answers the question offline. Yeah,
okay, well.
we should get one of these we should get one of those for the boat.
Yeah, we should. Love AI.
Yeah, well, it's just a chat bot, so it's I think it's a good idea, but
Yeah, and especially now kind of entering into the hospitality industry through yachting.
yeah,
I feel like I've seen a little bit more of how to do it correctly.
yeah,
And so maybe
well, hopefully,
oh,
yeah.
I don't know how am I doing.
We'll see, you're up for your review again.
I did terrible.
How's your last day going?
How's your last day going?
Well,
If I go down, you're coming
just
with
realize you're on yachting every day could be your
me.
last
Every
day.
day. Yeah, so what do you think about job security?
Just
How
take,
to get job security?
well, I don't know. I've yet to answer that
You know.
question, because it's yacht, so there's really none. That's why you really want to have your 6 months,
Yeah.
and if not more. And then also, if you have those assets build up, you can always get equity lines. You can always borrow against it.
Mhm.
You can start a business. You can do a lot of things. Buy assets at your age. Buy as much as you can while you can.
Okay.
Always keep buying. Is always the best time to buy real estate.
Yeah.
Never wait if it's a good deal. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
You'll do fine. You're already
Buy it,
thinking about it,
happens.
trying to. Yeah. Well, don't
Buy it.
not necessarily. Just buy something good, hopefully. Well, I don't think you're gonna go wrong if you're in a coastal town in California. I think you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
If you can
I mean,
buy something. People, California gets a bad rap with a lot of things, but I think that's every city nowadays
Yeah.
has the same issues, so I don't. You're not buying downtown LA, Skid Row or anything like that. You're buying by the beach, so
I
gonna
still
be
couldn't
nice.
afford Skid Row.
yeah, I don't think a lot of people. Well, that's probably why. And all fairness to homeless people, if I was in there was a lot of homeless people in San Diego, but I mean, if I was homeless, I'd probably live in San
I'd
Diego.
probably live
It's pretty nice.
a tent on the beach doesn't sound too bad.
No, it doesn't, because apparently they can't run you off, so it'd be good.
Good to know. Noted.
Yeah, so maybe you could Airbnb your
Invest
tent.
in tents.
Airbnb your tent. Hey,
Van life.
that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, tune in next week.
Yes. So is there anything else that you're targeting with your finance other than travel? Like you want to like 10% obviously, or whatever percentage that looks like.
Yeah, definitely I know that property is a great investment. In terms of say investing in the stock market and things like that. Would you have any advice for me on how to start, how to go about doing
Well,
that? Or
I know
how
what
to
I
allocate?
did. Again, I'm not a financial advisor or anything, but
But just
I started a
advise
trade
that.
account, and I know people that I could introduce you to that do very well at that.
Mhm.
I've just kind of put a certain amount every month towards that, and again, I look at technology because I used to be in IT, and that stuff's done pretty
And that
well.
seems to be where our world's going at the
Yeah,
moment.
but the thing you have to
Very
be careful with the
tech-centered.
tech stuff is that here today, gone today can happen as well. Because I was
Mhm.
part of how I got on the boats was because of the boom and bust. I lost my job and my business within the 3 months all at one time, and then I got on the boat.
Okay, so at least got that.
So you can plan on that happening to you as
Just
well.
be captain. It's not that
Yeah, you can
hard.
do. You want my job? It'd be fun.
Yeah, I'll take it. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not tired
How
today.
is your last day going?
Yeah, about 6 months. Looks like it would be switching up my plan earlier than I thought.
Well, is there anything else I can help you with as far as your?
I guess, yeah, it kind of similar to my previous question. So I have my retirement, which is in a
Okay.
Roth IRA.
Okay.
At the moment, I have about 70% of those funds in mutual funds.
Okay.
And I have some international mutual funds as well. And then I have a little bit in ETFs. What do you
Okay.
think about
Um,
that?
have you
That's right.
done? I would say you just do the research on what you already have. See
Okay.
if can see where everything's going.
Yeah, because again, I know since I'm younger and it is a long term.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to
More
that
aggressive.
time and purpose on the money. So, this is your. I mean, 26 now.
25.
Like 25. Okay.
Rude.
Okay. Okay.
So I got a couple months.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay.
Do I look at
Yeah.
I'm loving this, guys. I'm loving this, by the way.
You don't look a day over 25.
Yeah, 24, I heard you say.
24.
I'm back in that.
I mentioned it's Scott's 105th birthday.
Yeah.
You don't look a day over 120.
Yeah,
Thanks.
exactly.
Obviously, my skincare routine is doing really well.
Yeah. You probably invest in skincare products.
You know,
Okay.
that's what it is.
Right.
I get TikTok back and just look at whatever anybody's that's selling on
Oh.
TikTok.
Yeah.
What
But
do you think about that TikTok shop?
I don't know. I mean, TikTok, I've never really,
Oh,
I don't know if
you're
it's gonna get bought out by the government or it's gonna get
I
shut
think
down.
that's
Who knows?
They
Who
tried.
knows what's going on there?
TikTok's too strong.
I don't know. I mean, I have a TikTok account, but I don't know anything about it. But
When using the data.
probably going on my phone.
All the data.
Who knows? But
No one.
getting back to your, where you have your Roth IRA and, I would say, this, I think you mentioned the S&P 500, any one of those things that's very
Yeah.
diversified. I've had plenty in the S&P and 500 and stuff,
Yeah.
but I mean, it just depends on, your time and purpose for the money.
Yeah, I'd
That's
say it's
50
more
year,
long
that's
term.
40-year money really for
Yeah.
you. So, put it
It's
into
volatile
something
now,
like
but-
the S&P 500 does 10% a year on average. So if you just keep putting it in something like that or anything like that, you're probably going to be fine. I
Mhm.
mean, again, I'm not, I can't make any recommendations on that because I have my own Roth IRA and I kind of do that. I put into these tech funds and I'm actually looking at doing a self-directed IRA because that way I can put some of it into real estate.
Yeah.
And I have the 529s for our kids and we're tapping that now because as of September, we're gonna have 2 kids in college. So there's that, and we have my wife's 5 Roth IRA as well. So we do both of that. And a Roth IRA is great because you won't ever have to be taxed on it again.
Yeah.
And then you can also go self-directed on that, where you just have a third party custodian that you place it with them, and you can't personally benefit from it until you're like retirement age.
Yeah.
So the money, all the profits and proceeds have to go into you or into a business. But we can talk more about that later on. But when you get a little bit older, because right now you're really young at 24. 24.
Oh. Oh. No, I guess I'll ask. So at my age of 23, would you recommend maxing out that Roth every year, or
Yeah.
would you say allocate some of those funds to say property, or other type of investment?
I would say since you got it, max it out, because you're not really, you haven't put the money into the property yet. So max that out, whatever I think you can do 6,000, something like that a year.
I think it's 7 now.
7
I
now?
think they raised it.
So you
Yeah.
do that every year, just keep maxing that out, and then just keep doing that, and it'll be quite a bit of money. It can be compound interest for a long time. So think of that also. Just you want to have multiple pockets of money. So you got your Roth IRA, you'll have the property,
Yeah.
you have your emergency fund, you have some savings, and then you'll have. What I've done also is another good idea. What people do is I have a life insurance. It's a whole life policy where you put money into, and then you can borrow against that as well to buy your own real estate. And people I can have talk to about that as well, because I'm not an expert at any means, and I haven't maxed that one out either.
Yeah.
But I've seen people that just anytime they sold a house or something, they put some money into it, so then they're kind of their own bank. After a while, they loan themselves money to buy a next house, fix it up, put it back into the life insurance. And then the life insurance money, they do a payout, it's tax free.
Okay.
And then if you're borrowing it, it's tax free as well, because it's debt.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So when you turn 25.
Which is a long way away.
Yeah, that's so just keep putting away that money till you're 25, and then cash it all in and buy this house.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, otherwise I think that's all questions.
Okay, well, we'll follow up again later on everything, and if any of your other friends want to have any more questions or whatever, we can follow up with them as well, and we can
Maybe I'll
like
have my
to-
sister on next.
I think Liam has a question, maybe.
Yeah, I have a question. In America, when you're looking at rental properties, in Australia, we have let's say the value of the property is 350,000 or 500,000. The rental is usually 5,000 a week or a certain amount per annum, 50 or 60,000 per annum as a percentage.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at a purchase of property with a rental income, you're looking at a certain percentage of return. Is that similar in the United States?
Yeah, you're looking at you're looking at this the same way if you're doing a long-term rental. I mean, and then there's with the Airbnb stuff, there's an app called AirDNA that'll kind of price out how much at a certain occupancy what you're going to get, and then it'll give you kind of a breakdown of that. And there's some rental calculators as well that'll kind of give you a rough estimate of stuff. So like say the house is, like you said, 300,000 and you get 3,000 a month, that's going to be 36,000 a year. So your gross is going to be 12%, something like that. So
Understood.
But minus minus all your costs are going to be a lot less than that, because you're going to have your mortgage and all that stuff. And do you guys do? I know you guys don't do mortgages, are a little bit different in Australia as well too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. When you said the rent covers the mortgage, it's usually not that close for the first 5 or 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless
So
you put down a lot of money, then, right?
Exactly. Unless you're putting down the 20 or 30%, it depends on the type of property it is.
Yeah,
So whereas in America, you're putting down 5% or whatever.
yeah, 3 to 5% if it's your first time, if you're a first time buyer. And there are products where if you can get a conventional loan, like my personal house, we put down 5%. And it was a 2.7% mortgage. So the mortgage is going to be relatively low to what we bought. And I don't know if we'll ever see those rates like that again. And I would imagine Australia that the rates are probably in the 5, 6, 7%
Yep.
probably somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that rate in a high kind of deposit, it just takes you a lot with an investment property to get any return in the short term.
Yeah. So you really would have to maybe have buy some type of apartment block or something where it's you get investors in. I don't know if you guys do like syndications and stuff like that where you can raise capital. Do you have big apartment blocks that people buy in, or is it all like private investors?
Mainly private investors, unless you're part of a fund per se. There's a lot of property funds and all that, but not really not the kind of product that you're working with, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's quite unique. And I know also you guys do some weekly rents as well too.
Yeah.
Australia. So that's because I remember a good friend of mine, he was telling me about it, and he said, yeah, you really have to watch because there's less amount in you know, some months have more, more weeks than others for month to month, you're varying your mortgage is going to be the same, but your income's going to be less or more. So I was like, man, that's a bit tricky.
Well, we like to complicate it, Australians. We like to complicate it.
Yes. Yeah, but and I know you guys, your values of that property has gone wild like a lot of places. I mean, is there still you guys still having like an affordability crisis there as well?
Yeah, affirmative. I mean, same as California, I guess, or places
Yeah.
in Florida, but
Yeah.
it is. It's kind of got a bit out of hand, but it's all right. I mean, it depends on the income stream you have. It's just the
Yeah.
challenge. And the problem
Yeah.
with Australia is the medium income price is quite high.
Yeah.
The median income is quite high, but the property prices are really super high.
Really. Yeah.
So doctors and plumbers are almost earning the same amount of money, but the houses are well above that.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah,
that's kind of
I think that's where it's starting to be in Florida. I know in California, that's the way that you see a lot more like the shared housing type of stuff coming up, or where people are pitching in together and buying a place to where they're doing stuff like that. And then because I saw one thing where they had a like a house with an ADU and additional unit behind it. It was like almost $2 million, and I was like, that doesn't I can't really fathom how but then when you look at the rent's like 6,000, 7,000 for the house, and then
yeah.
3,000 for the additional unit in the back. I'm like, okay, well, maybe that could work if you put the money down, because another friend has a fund where they're buying those houses, putting in the ADUs, and then renting them out, selling them, and then putting the money back in the fund and going and doing it again.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's so many ways to do it. You might think that, and I'm sure you have it in Australia too, where people kind of make it work. They find a way to figure it out, which it's probably not as common. The average person probably isn't able to be that resourceful to figure that out. But
Yeah. But I really appreciate the live stream. It was very valuable. You were wonderful, both of you.
thank you, and we'll I appreciate you coming. It's we're planning on doing it more, so so I want a lot more people to have access to solutions stuff,
Well,
because
it's your 30th coming up soon, Scott, isn't it? So
yeah, add another 26.
I know, it's 26.
Add another 20. Add one of her.
Yeah, he's one of those.
Add another one of her -2, and you'll be there.
Exactly. All right. Well, I really appreciate it. I'll be quiet now. I'll be quiet.
No, that's fine. Thank you. Any questions and stuff is great, because I mean, it's the only way we learn is if we ask questions. I said I asked a lot of questions to the amount of annoyance to a lot of people, and I still do. So, you know, it's the only way we do that is if we keep talking to the stuff, so about this stuff, so. Definitely, I'm planning on doing this once a month, so if anybody you know that has more questions or whatever, we can do more, man. I think it'd be great to get more people involved. I lost you.
You could do a webinar between both crews almost, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, that'd be great. Let's do it. That'd be fun.
Uh,
Grudge,
when they
grudge
finish work,
match.
when they finish work.
A grudge match.
Exactly.
Grudge match.
That's a good idea, though.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I think it'd be fun. Yeah. Yeah, something to think about for sure. Cool, man. Well, appreciate you being on. I mean, we're gonna do more together, I know. So we'll
All
talk
right.
soon. All right,
Wonderful to meet you as well.
man. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be on. Good to see this side of Scott.
Take care.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.